All right, let's get into it on a Tell the Truth Monday. Your calls at 301-230-0980 and your comments as you stream us live on YouTube at the Team 980. Commanders 42, Titans 19. Will's in South Florida. Will, thanks for checking us out. What you got here on a Victory Monday and a Tell the Truth Monday?
Hell yeah, baby. Hey, thanks for taking the call. I'm just excited. We're back in the win column. And I think the boys just went through that little stretch, which, you know, you think about it, they played three defensive monster teams, and they grew up. They had to handle adversity. They did what they had to do, snap out of it. We got a full, healthy quarterback. The chosen one is back. He played limited, and I think the coaching staff, Cliff had to, you know, he couldn't open the full weaponry because we had a limited injured quarterback, and everybody forgets about that. So you can see he was healthy yesterday. His legs are back, shifty, back to accuracy. I predict we will go deep into the playoffs. We will be the team, the Cinderella story, and this story is going to go on for a long time, baby. The burgundy and gold are back. We're back, and we're going to make a statement game when we get back from this recovery week. I'm excited, man. This is great to be part of winning football. Hell yeah.
Thanks, Will. I appreciate it. Great call. Love the excitement. And it does feel like they're back. And it does feel very much like Jayden was, like, the quickness and all that kind of stuff. And again, I don't know how much of that had to do with the rib. There is some fatigue. There is some incredible team speed that they face. Like, if I'm running against someone who's not fast versus I'm running against Usain Bolt, I'm going to look very different levels of fast. That said, clearly the ability to get out on the edge and the quickness and the agility and just his comfort in reading the game, definitely I think early after the injury, they've kind of admitted they were pulling back some of the playbook. But I also think the bigger factor on some of that stuff is B-Rob. Like, I don't think people forget the rib injury. I actually think that a lot of people talk about the rib injury, I won't say as an excuse, but like that's their number one reason. I think B-Rob, combined to whatever extent the injury affected them, really messed with what they were doing in the run game. Because, like, the zone read game, you have to have the front side threat for the pull to be worth anything. If defensive ends are just like, we're going to sit on Jayden and go ahead and hand the ball to Austin Eckler because he's actually not that good at that run, well, that's not very dangerous. Now, if you're terrified of B-Rob, you're either short a man on the front side of the run because your defensive end stays home for Jayden and B-Rob can get downhill and he reads that really well and hits it hard and gets north and south, or that guy crashes, Jayden pulls it, and now you're out on the edge. So I think the B-Rob factor is the biggest one in terms of the run game and even the quarterback run game. But clearly some of the scrambles and things like that, Jayden looks a little more spry these last 2 weeks. Even against the Cowboys, I thought he showed some of that. Obviously, there was a lot of other problems in that football game. Tell the Truth Monday. Your calls at 301-230-0980. Let's go to Reggie. Reggie, thanks for calling. You're on the Hoffman Show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Craig. Hey, Craig, just wanted to touch on some of the stuff we talked about last week. Apparently, Cliff either listening or thought he himself needed to make some adjustments or some changes with Terry going on the right-hand side, not just going on the right, but throwing to him. Also, Jayden being under center. I saw him under center a few times. And then the fake zone read, it looked like a play out of the Ravens with Lamar Jackson where he kind of keeps it and then throws it at the last minute. I thought that's a very effective play right there. For the Commanders, Jayden Daniels down near the goal line. But got to give Cliff some credit, man. He called an excellent game, Craig.
Thanks, Reggie, for the call.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And
absolutely.
I really agree with you. This was one of the most enjoyable games to watch from Cliff, to me, the entire season. And, like, to an extent, right? They put up 42 points. So, of course, things went really well for them in some respect. But the way that they moved Terry around, the way that they utilized him, the way that they emphasized him, I thought was great, starting on that first play of the game where clearly there's some scouting going on there where it's like, hey, Tennessee has some soft zones. We're going to be able to hit some hitches and things. And they were more prepared for that this week than against Dallas, where, Terry talked a little bit about after the game where he was like, look, last week we did a bad job of kind of taking what they gave us. We went in with a game plan to attack down the field, and Dallas knew that we would probably do that because they were banged up in their secondary, and so they played a bunch of soft zone and said, hey, we're not getting beat deep, and then obviously they didn't. I mean, it's not like they hit a bunch of deep balls yesterday. That's the thing. A lot of the big explosives they had earlier in the season, those came on these big explosive plays down the field, or some of the key plays, the Terry Cincinnati play, all that kind of stuff, these big 50, 60-yard gains. Their longest completion yesterday was 25 yards to Ertz, of all people. Longest completion to a receiver was a 16-yard completion to Terry. They took what the defense gave them, said, hey, you're going to play all this soft stuff? Okay, we're going to take yardage underneath. We're going to hit 2nd and 4. If you still play soft, we'll run the ball down your throat. If you start loading the box a little bit, we'll just get our one-on-ones on the outside, and we'll hit hitches and comebacks, and we're happy to take those. And you can't stop us. You can try to. You're probably going to hold, PI, hold. Like, it was crazy. It was just so ruthlessly efficient. And they did move Terry around a little bit more yesterday. And I think to Reggie's point, they also just made a concerted effort to make him the number one guy. There's certain times where it's like, this is clearly designed for Terry. Because truthfully, I'm looking at PFF charts this stuff. So in terms of moving around, since week 9, actually it even goes back. Typically, Terry lines up in the slot between 6 and 12 times a game. Week 8 was an outlier. He only lined up 4. But most of the time, I'll just go week by week. Week 1, 6. Week 2, 9. Then it's 12, 9, 6, 12, 10, 4, 10, 11, 9, 8, 10. So they got him in the slot 10 times yesterday, which is right around what they normally do. But they lined him up outside right more than they have in any other game this season. Now, it was only 9 times. It's not like he was lining up out wide 25 times and it wasn't like he wasn't predominantly on the left. It was a tweak, not a change. But I think you see the power of that change, because also the number of times he lined up in the slot on the right was a season high. That was 5. And then they have a couple of other designations that they use. Slot inside right, that was actually the 5. That was the most he did. Slot outside right, 1. They've done that some of this season. And then kind of an isolated slot, right? If it's a 2 wide receiver slide, 3. So they moved him positionally a little bit more than they have in some other games. And they also, even at times when he was on the left, they would say, hey, you're going to be a receiver on the inside of a bunch, or you're going to be back off the ball, or you're on the ball. So they did some of the stuff that has been really good for them. I mean, Terry is having the best season of his career. The idea that they needed to change everything was always overstated, if that's what you want. Oh, they got to make it 50-50. No, they don't. They needed to tweak. And I think Cliff did an excellent job of tweaking and doing it at really important times, targeting Terry at really important times. A ton of his catches came on 3rd down, and that is how you weaponize one of the best receivers in football, is when we got to have it and the other team knows that we want to go to this guy, how do we still get him where it's advantage us? And Cliff did that masterfully yesterday, on top of a bunch of other cool stuff that he did. He had, Anthony, what if I told you that multiple times in the game yesterday, they had running plays where the wide receivers were lead blockers in the hole?
That wouldn't surprise me. I definitely saw Noah Brown getting physical, dirty, like yeah.
They pulled, if your last name was Brown and you played wide receiver for the Commanders, you were a lead blocker at some point in the game yesterday where you come in motion and then you'd fire at, between the tackle and the guard and B-Rob's following you. Like, they got wild yesterday, and it was fun. It was really, really fun. Got some on the call screener. We don't see it very often. Let's go to Marcus. Marcus, you owe the team an apology, is what I'm being told. The floor is yours.
Yeah, apologies are definitely in order. I've been hard on them recently because, B-Rob went down and then everybody's like, it's because B-Rob went down and the offense is struggling. And my eyes, I feel like, everybody gets paid, so the next man should step up. But then B-Rob comes back and 3 plays in, he rips off a big one and ends the day with 100. And it's like, okay, I apologize. I'll have to bite that one. That's my bad.
So, Marcus, what did we learn from this situation?
We learned that the Commanders' offense is a lot stronger with Brian Robinson Jr. in the lineup. That is very true. Apologies are in order. I truly apologize for that.
Okay, I think that's good. I think the other lesson we should learn, Marcus, is that good players are better. And like sometimes this very silly game that we all love comes down to the fact that when the best players are on the field, it's a hell of a lot easier to play good football. And I think we've all done it. And I totally get what you're saying. And I think sometimes, especially in long seasons, we lose track of that. Marcus, I appreciate the call. That was funny. Way to be a good sport about it. Yeah. Shoot real quick.
Hey, did I hear right? Are you at the games?
Yeah, I am at the games. The home games, anyway.
Are you? Well, yeah, home games. Are you anywhere near like Kime and JP and Big Man?
I was literally sitting right behind John Kime yesterday. Were you one of the people that was yelling at Grant Paulson?
That was me. But I'm there at the game, and I can never see the second row. But now that I know that you're there, I'm gonna try to. I'll put it on my phone, and I'll call you Hoffy so you know it's me.
Okay. All right. That sounds good, Marcus. All right. Thank you, Marcus. Marcus was he had the attention of the press box yesterday as things were getting out of hand late in the game. Marcus, thanks for the call. As for Marcus's larger point, that's really funny. On longer seasons when guys have been out for a while, we almost take for granted. It's like, oh yeah, well when they built the roster, they expected RB1 or wide receiver 1 or whatever, and just dudes that are better create better results. And it's not exactly, the world's most insightful analysis, but like if you call the same play for Austin Eckler versus Brian Robinson on most plays is going to get you a better result. Then there's another set of plays that's much smaller but tailored to Austin Eckler, where Austin Eckler is probably going to get you a better result. But those plays are harder to execute, and they come at times that perhaps Brian Robinson is better to set up at. And just kind of the down-in, down-out nature of the NFL. If you have a guy like B-Rob who can get you yardage and that defenses treat differently, that opens up your zone read game and opens up everything else. And you saw that come to play yesterday.